Welcome to a very special video. We are at the Nikon Museum and we've come here, got a bit of a low voice, we're keeping it quiet because it's a pretty quiet place, but we thought we'd show you around the place that I've been wanting to come to for a very long time. So let's go and have a look. This is pretty awesome. This is a huge glass ingot made from the synthetic silica glass that Nikon uses for their lenses, and it's one of the largest glass ingots in the world. It's absolutely massive. I think they're pretty proud of it because it's right in the lobby just as you walk in. So cool. So imagine one day you're working in Nikon and you decide to yourself, you know what? I like diving, scuba diving, let's make an underwater camera. And somebody else in Nikon says, yeah, that's a good idea, let's do that. So they did. From the 1960s with the Calypso right through to the Nikonos and all the way right until the very end of the Nikonos, they consistently made cameras for scuba diving, and they were amazing. Not just that, the lenses were fantastic, they had light meters, but also the brochures were absolutely awesome. Look at this. Personal favourite, I would have to say, is the Nikonos 5. I love the design, it's just so chunky, monkey, it's cool, it's just really cool. So what we have here are some of their much rarer lenses people perhaps haven't heard of before. The Cine Nikkor, the projector lenses, the lenses for enlargers, and there's the 53.5 prototype, which looks very, very similar to a Leica Elmar, right? And you've also got the projector lens, the 5cm prototype. On the end here you have something very, very cool. This is an Hermes 5.5cm 3.5. Now, I have seen one of these before, and it was in Tokyo. There's only about 12 known to exist, so seeing one again is really cool. The funny thing about the Hermes is it was actually made by a company that is now Canon. So even though it says Nikon, Canon, and there's a connection there because a lot of the stuff in the old days was kind of made together. There wasn't a lot of manufacturing capability, so they had to work together. And here's a prime example of that. This is the Seiki Kogaku Canon rangefinder, but it has a Nikon lens on it, right? At the time, Canon weren't able to make lenses for themselves, so they had to rely on Nikon to make lenses for them. Very cool. But it gets even cooler. There's Nikon Model 1, I mean, drool. This is where it all started, you know, and the Nikon M and the S, very early cameras. But what they have here, I think quite a few people skip over the importance of this camera here. This is the fisheye Nikkor camera. It was a medium format camera. It was the only medium format camera that Nikon made. Don't know how many there are. Supposedly there's only about 4 of them in the world. I'm tremendously excited to see that. It's just wow, just incredible. But this whole wall is incredible. I could just drool forever over it. You've got everything from all of the lineage, the Nikon Fs, especially with these, the fisheye Nikkors, the 7.5, the 6, the 8 and the 10mm. They are all super, super duper rare. In many cases only made in batches of 100 to 150 lenses. I've found them before, I've sourced them before. There's one some people might recognise, which I have found before, which apparently this one is one of the ones I found, which is the 6mm 2.8, known as the dustbin lid. One which people might skip over, which is exceedingly rare, just up there, is the 13mm 5.6. Now that is a very, very expensive lens now, very rare, very cool. Each one of these was blessed by a monk when it left. Up there is the Nikon F801, and that was my first proper Nikon camera back in the day, back in the 90s. So that camera is kind of a big deal. That is a Photomic FTN NASA, and that was on Apollo 15. Look at it, it's all murked out, all black, and yeah, that's kind of inspired me. Look at the size of the text on it as well. I kind of want to paint a camera like that, it looks amazing. Okay, this is really cool. The world's first autofocus camera system for a single lens reflex. Look at the size of it, it's absolutely massive. The Uramura special camera. This camera was taken to the Antarctic. Was it taken to the Antarctic? No, it was, he took it, he was the first. He tried to climb Mount Everest and all of the world's highest peaks. He did take this camera to Antarctica in 1982, and it had special grease and things inside of it to make sure that it still worked in the ultra cold temperatures. The longest zoom lens in the world, as big as a child. Imagine trying to sling that over your shoulder, 12 to 1700 millimeters. And yeah, prototype cameras. I mean, the stuff they've got here is just incredible. Prototype Nikon F with a contour viewfinder. It's wild. And I'm sure everybody knows, but Nikon had a long and special relationship with NASA, and there you go, there's the F3 NASA big and the F3 NASA small. And you can see they've got enlarged bits, so the big one was used for use on the space shuttle, so you could, and it had extra long film roll in it, so you could take lots and lots of shots. And the small was used to be used on extra vehicular activities, so outside of the shuttle, so it had bits so you could grab hold of it while you were using it with big gloves. And for all of you pixel peepers and digital freaks, this is the one where it all started for Nikon. The E2, the first SLR, digital SLR from Nikon in 1995. I personally like the amusing lenses. Amusing lenses, brilliant. As Nikon developed as a company and as the technology developed, you know, they moved into the digital market and designs became a lot simpler, a lot less focused, a lot more consumer focused, really. You have still the Pro SLR range, which very much look like Pro cameras, but the consumer stuff changed a lot. It became very simple, very sleek, and occasionally there were some standout pieces like the SP limited edition, very cool. Nikon still did cool stuff back then. But as Nikon developed, they became more consumer focused and cameras became easier to use. The DSLR lineup just seemed to get bigger and faster. I think perhaps a little bit of the classic design philosophy disappeared as things became more developed for what was needed. And here is the 100th anniversary set, and it was much anticipated when Nikon said we will release some 100th anniversary cameras, because people really did think that possibly, maybe, they might remake the Nikon F or something, but no. It was a D5 and a D500 and some lenses. So, yeah. This is very cool. These are prototypes, so once they made the S and the F, all of these cameras, obviously they had to make prototypes, they had to see what worked, what didn't work, but they kept some of them, which is really cool. and I can imagine people working away to find out what was the best way to do something by using these. It's brilliant. So while we're here, we've got this very cool touchscreen thing, and it's got all of the original Nikon catalogues in it, which we can just bring up and have a look at, which is fantastic. I am absolutely loving this. And it's got lots of the old ones, the Nikon F, the S, and yeah, there's more. There's the Nikon OS. Oh my goodness, I could spend all day here. I could spend all week here. Just tell you what, I'm just going to move in. Whoa, whoa, wall of glass, medical Nikons, UV Nikons, every Nikon. I'm not even going to mention individual ones, there's too many. There's everything. Everything is here. It's absolutely bonkers. I am drooling right now. You can't see, obviously, because I'm wearing a mask, because I'm socially responsible. Notice something cool about that body? Yeah, it's medium format. Nikon made medium format. Nikon started making their own glass, optical glass, in 1918, just about a year after the company was founded. They realized they had to make their own glass if the company was to be self-sufficient. So not many companies make optical glass, and Nikon is one of them that still does make its own optical glass, which is really cool. And they have samples of it here, which is absolutely awesome, and you can learn as to how it was made. So this is about how Nikon polishes its glass, and the cool thing is Japan has a habit of realizing that maybe it's not so good at something, so it learns from the people that are. So back in the 1920s, Nikon brought over German technicians to teach them how to polish glass properly so that they could make glass to the quality that they wanted, that they expected. And Nikon does that, Japan does that, you know, they've done it, Seiko have done it with watches, other car companies have done it. And they find something and they take it to a very high level, which is what Nikon have done. A little bit of World War II tech. This is a reflective mirror for searchlights, which was put outside factories so that they could come see the planes that were coming to bomb them, so they could light them up. It's pretty wild. On the other side of the museum, they have another side of what Nikon does, which is medical and precision instruments. And so they've got all of their test stations and their rangefinders and their microscopes and their ultra, high-tech stuff, which is not really anything I'm familiar with, but it shows you quite how big the company Nikon is itself. This is getting beyond what I know about, but this is large ARF scanner projection lens for ultra precision resolution. Don't know, but look at those lens elements. That is absolutely mental. I want that in my living room. And here is one of possibly my favourite bits in the museum, the F3 wall. I mean, they're proud of all their cameras, but they must be especially proud of the F3 if they give it its own little wall. Yeah, right, see, I'm onto something here. Absolutely mad. It's wonderful. I love it. I want one in my house now. Obviously, it would never stand with my family, but one can dream. Of particular interest, they have some pretty cool stuff. The PB6 bellows, with the micro nickel, so you can do ultra close-up stuff. Very cool. The pistol grip, which you really rarely see on the DA2 finder and the motor drive, so that's a fully kitted up press camera, An F3 AF, don't see many of those either. I mean, yeah, just cool, really cool. And the fact that there's no glass here, that is there makes it even better. And Nikon's final step into the new frontier, you know, they've put stuff in space. They put cameras on satellites for the Japanese government, made telescopes, and pretty much anything optical, Nikon are going to give it a go. If you get the chance to come to this museum, you really, really should. And at the end, and at the very end, as you leave, there is a gift shop full of really cool stuff. I'm going to be buying several things. There's limited edition Nikon stuff, the posters, the candies, chocolates. I'm after a couple of those posters myself, and perhaps one of those ones as well. So yeah, if you get the chance, make sure you come to Tokyo, you come to the Nikon Museum and check out what they've got. You will not be disappointed. So that was the Nikon Museum. Got myself some swag to take home and had a really good time. If you come to Tokyo, you must make sure you come to the Nikon Museum. It is a really good time. Come and check it out and see something of Nikon's history. Take it easy.